If you're new to NB and would like to create a class, first navigate to the NB homepage and then click Sign Up Login in the upper right hand corner. Then you'd like to create a new class, so click Create a New Group. So then we'll fill in the relevant information about ourselves with our email, name, and desired password. Then simply describe your class. So let's say we're teaching 6042, fall 2012. Needn't provide a description. And then there's a few options about what kind of class you want to create. So if you want to allow users to create comments that are only visible to the staff, there's an option for that. There's an option to allow users to post anonymously or not. There's an option to allow guests to access your site. You can allow users who have the subscribe link to register by themselves, so you don't need to invite each one personally. And you can allow users to download your PDFs or keep them private. And there's also an option to assign people to different sections. So once you've done that, simply hit send and your class is created. If you're a returning NB user and would like to create a class, simply hover over your name in the top right hand corner and select Create a New Class. This will bring up a dialog box similar to what you filled out to create your first class. So once again, just fill out the name of your class, something like the class name and perhaps the term to distinguish it. You can include a description if you'd like to keep it clear to you and your students what the class is. And then the same options are still available, whether you want to allow your students to have comments that are only visible to the staff, whether your students will be allowed to comment anonymously, whether guests can access your class materials, whether users can download your PDFs, and whether users can use a subscribe URL rather than you inviting them all personally. And once you've selected all those and filled out the name, simply hit OK and your class is created.
Changing passwords in NB is very simple. Just find your name at the top of the screen and click Settings in the drop-down menu. This will bring you to a new screen. Simply type your new password twice and click Save Changes. And you're done. To leave a comment, first highlight relevant text by clicking and dragging your mouse. So say we don't quite understand what AEXP is. So we might highlight this bit, and then this will bring up a dialog box in the sidebar. So we'll type our question into this new note box. And now we need to choose who can see this question. So here's the visibility right here. And we can choose to make it visible to the entire class, just the staff, or only ourselves. If we were leaving a note for ourselves, say something like, remember to ask about this in recitation, maybe we might make that private to ourselves. And maybe if it's a question only the staff can answer, maybe we might choose to make it visible to only the staff. But this is a question that probably a lot of different people can answer, so let's make it visible to the entire class. Now there's a couple other options. We can choose to make this anonymous. We can say that we don't want other students to be able to see our name. Let's click that. And we can also request a reply from the staff. So since this is a question we really would like answered, let's click that as well. And then we click Submit. So now we have a little rectangle surrounding that area we first highlighted. So this allows anyone reading this document to see that there's a comment here as they're reading. So as other students are reading, they'll see this, they'll realize there's a comment there, and they can click on it and then be able to answer a question or clarify their own concerns.
Once you've asked a question or left a comment, you don't want to be forced to continually check back to see if anyone's responded. Fortunately, NB has a built-in email notification system for replies. So if we've left our question asking what else are generating functions used for, we want to know when Alyssa Piaka responds without having to continually check. So when this happens, we'll receive an email that looks something like this. It'll summarize the exchange. It'll tell us what the thread is about, what else the generating function is used for, what started the thread, and it'll also include her response, so we don't have to go back to the NB interface to see exactly what the response was. Now, the default settings are set up so that you receive an email notification each time there's a reply on threads you participated in. If you find that these are a few too many notifications, you can change your settings. So if you go over to your settings page, you can change it from receiving an email for each reply to receiving only a digest once a day, including all the replies to threads you participated in, or you can choose to never receive email notifications.
To reply to a comment, we first need to bring the relevant comment up in the sidebar. So say as we're reading along, we see that there's a comment here, we read it, and we realize we know the answer. So we want to respond to this question here. So we just mouse over it, and then we see these two options appear. So we want to reply, so let's click that. And you may need to expand this box so you can read it properly. So we type out the answer we believe is true. And as we see before, we have the same options as we had when we were leaving a comment. We can still set the visibility, whether to the class, only the staff, or only ourselves. We can still request a reply if we're asking follow-up questions. We can still set ourselves to be anonymous. So if we want to be anonymous, this is a response, a follow-up, so we want to make sure the entire class can see it. And then we just click submit. So now let's get rid of this box so we can see. And then we see our response is visible. What if we want to delete a comment? Say, for example, as we do some more reading, we realize that first response to this question might not have been quite right. So we want to delete it. So all we have to do is mouse over our comment and go over to Actions. We click that and choose the bottom option, Delete. It'll ask us if we're sure, to make sure we don't want to delete comments that we did actually want to keep. We say OK, and it's gone.